want to shift gears from the first half. We move into the world of machines, factories, systems, and the people who keep them running.
I've been thinking about what are some of the backbones of India as a country, and manufacturing is something that's really, really scaling up like never before. This is where scale, structure, and precision meet, and that makes it a whole different ballgame altogether in the world of AI. This next industry talk is going to be led by Farkhad, and can we have a big round of applause as he takes the stage? Who's a Prosci change management expert and affiliated partner in Central Asia. From oil and gas to heavy machineries, Farkhad brings hands-on insight into what it takes to implement digital change in environments where process, precision, and people must work in perfect sync. Sounds a lot, but I'm sure you are the expert in it. With that, I would love to welcome our panelists on stage. Can we have Chandan Vijay? He's Global Chief Data Officer at ABB Energy Industries. Dr. Manoj K. Prasad, Vice President, Talent Development and Digital Transformation, Geo Reliance Industries Limited. We've had lunch. We have a lot more energy. Come on, can we have a big round of applause as people take the stage? Himanshu Pant, Chief Digital Officer, Adani New Industries. Sivakumar Selva Ganapathy, Vice President, India Digital IT, Johnson Controls. And Sreemoyee Ghosh, Chief Digital Transformation Officer from L'Oreal. Thank you so much for being with us and taking the time to be part of SYNAPSE. With that, Farkhad, hand over the mic to you. Thank you.
I'd like to remind everyone that there is a QR code on the panel 3 page for everyone to scan to keep this a two-way dialogue. Thank you so much.
Good. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. So I'm traveled from Kazakhstan, Central Asia, to participate in this event. And I think that I'm really enjoying this conference and people and speakers. So it's really, really great. And we have the hardest part, actually, we're discussing with our panelists that we have to speak after the lunch, and it's always hard. And I hope you will not fall asleep and will follow, participate, and ask your question. Just scan that QR code, be part of our discussion as well. So from the very beginning, I want to emphasize, just to remind you, 2 key elements that we are discussing on this panel and on the conference as well: AI and change management, right? So AI is about machines doing work that usually required human intelligence. In manufacturing, it's about computer vision, predictive maintenance, smart automation. And change management is about people. It's about supporting our employees, teams, and leaders to adapt new ways of working. Because even the most advanced AI solution will not deliver results if your employees don't trust, don't use, or don't understand it. So on this panel, we will explore not just AI itself, but we will look what should happen on people's side of change to get all these desired outcomes. And to warm up, we will start with short blitz questions, just short answers. One phrase or one sentence would be enough. So be prepared. You can take your mic. So it's just a blitz to warm up. And the first question is, what one word or phrase would you use to describe the biggest challenge in implementation of AI in manufacturing? Chandan? Mm-hmm.
High quality data.
High quality data, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have only one word. That is adoption, and adoption.
Yeah, 3 words. Yeah, thank you.
So I am having 3 words now. First is high quality data at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Second part is adoption. And third part is scalability from pilot to production scale, application.
Good, thank you. Mm-hmm. Sivakumar?
Question is on myth, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the myth is, it's plug and play. You just plug it, AI works, manufacturing done.
Yeah, just install it and push the button, right?
I think the biggest myth is the change is responsibility of the change manager or the change department. I think that's the biggest myth.
Yeah. Business people don't want to take that responsibility, right? We hired you, you have a budget, so just do it.
Yes.
Okay. And second question, what is the biggest myth about implementing AI in manufacturing that you faced or heard?
I think the biggest myth generally around AI is from the top leadership to the bottommost people, they expect it's a magic wand.
Yeah.
They think it's going to do whatever you ask it to do. Unfortunately, it's a lot more different.
Yeah, totally agree. Some magic button. You just push it and the results, boom, to the moon, right? Yeah, thank you, Manoj.
Okay, so for me, if you talk of this change management, I think the biggest thing which I feel is the first part is basically you have to come with the mindset, because if you talk of any of the organizations, they have their own culture, and if you understand the culture, whether you're a part of the organization or you're working as a subject matter expert, it's very important that first you understand the DNA of the organization.
Yeah.
And once you have understood and identified, all the risks which you are going to face during the implementation of, the transformations, the AI transformations and all, I think half of the journey you have already completed. The rest part is basically, how you are bringing everybody into the same page by, doing only two things. Again, I will use it. One is the communication, because communication is one of the most important pillar to decide the success. It's not the KPI, I'm sorry to say. And second part is the education, because the resistance comes once you say, the change. The moment you're using the change, there will be resistance. It's completely depending on you that in what way you're communicating and showing the big picture and also the benefit part.
Good.
That will decide, whether you're going to succeed or still, 20 years back, if I say, I was just discussing also, the failure of any of the initiative which are related with the digital transformations or a AI transformation, it was 75% and it is 75%. So nothing has moved. It's the only mindset, basically. And when you talk of the manufacturing organization, the biggest part is, you're boiling the ocean. And when you're boiling the ocean, you need to have, not only top down, but also bottom ups, which is going to decide it. Until I'm not understanding what is the benefit I'm going to get, when I'm using an AI tool, I'm not going to use it. So changing technology, changing process, it's overnight, changing mindset and changing the people. Who is the driver for any change?
Okay.
It's a very difficult task. And we all here, as a part of the same ecosystem, we have to see how we are navigating and helping all the impacted stakeholders into this direction.
Thank you, Manoj. And Himanshu, just to remind, what is the biggest myth about implementing AI in manufacturing?
Sure. So the biggest myth that I can see right now is that I will just what Chandan has said, right? You just implement the AI and it will work, right? It doesn't happen like that, right? Because, the right marriage between the domain and the AI is needed, specifically in the manufacturing sector, right? You need to know the right KPIs. You need to know the right features, right? Which will go into AI. And what is the outcome you are going to derive it, right? If you know all these things, then, it will work. And as a matter of fact, the change management is the biggest part, because in that case, you need to bring domain expert, data engineer, AI engineer to a common platform and do the cultural shift. So that is the biggest myth, that you will just plug and play AI and it will work. It doesn't work like that.
Good. Thank you. Sivakumar?
Yeah, the biggest myth which I've experienced is we have clean, standardized, centralized data. AI models move to production. Adoption is going on in full swing. No intervention is required. Change management is not required.
Exactly. So it's like email on Monday, Tuesday will be a training, and we will go live on Wednesday. Yeah, thank you. Sreemoyee?
Yeah, I agree with you, Sivakumar. I feel the biggest myth is that data quality issues can be fixed with AI. And they say, can you put AI in this?
Yeah. Good. Thank you. So from this morning, Scout showed us the results of best practices. And we saw that active and visible sponsorship is number one success factor, right? And Manoj, how you get your senior leaders and plant managers on board with AI projects, AI initiatives, and maybe can you share an example of something that really help you to engage them, especially on corporate level and on the shop floor?
Cool. So I will just answer, I think bringing the leadership team into a kind of a mindset where AI is no more a corporate talk. It's actually coming into the ground and all. So leadership, basically, they require a lot of educations, a lot of awareness in terms of, why AI is important, how your business model is, the business operating model is changing, how the business model basically, can be aligned with the AI. And because AI is not only, it's talking about the data analytics and, everything is there and then you can use the AI and of course the algorithm and you can take the decisions. It's not like that. Because in one of my companies, where I've worked, I've just seen it, it's such a huge company. It's all assets-based, kind of a organizations where the spread is for one particular plant, it is 180 kilometers. And there is a clear cut, the divide on the digital side. So the people, those who are sitting in the corporate, they are much aware about the product. They're much aware about the processes. They are much aware about the, the tool which we are using for the AI and all. But the people, those who are basically into the plant locations, they are not much about, how my head is, thinking, which is sitting based out of Mumbai, and how the tail is thinking they are spread across the world. Of course, across the world, primarily into India and, some part of the Western countries. So getting first the buy-in, if I take the example of, when during the COVID period, which was a completely new normal for us, the entire organization has gone into, from a physical mode, that's again, I'm using the manufacturing organizations, to a completely virtual mode. Now the question is that how the entire leadership has shifted the gear overnight, say from a physical world to completely digital world. It's only one thing they have shown it. Either they have to adopt to the changes, which is, coming up, which is not welcome by anybody in the world. But yes, it came, it was bound to come, and it has happened also. So they just shift the gear, and they got into a completely a new system. You can talk of, it's a Geo Meet for us, or it's a team, or there is a lot of Zoom and all, where everything is started, getting into a virtual mode. That is one part where, we struggle in terms of changing the digital mindset. So when I'm saying digital mindset, it's more into a digital dexterity where as a part of the organizations, we have taken, a lot of drive to complete, end-to-end kind of, the learning journey with the change management, wherever is required. I would say we have put a lot of change management interventions also because it was completely a mindset kind of things. The second part, the people, those on the plant and all, again, one thing is, we talk of smart manufacturing, or we can talk of, industry 4.0, 5.0 and all. Apart from that, the one thing which we have seen is, which has been already replicated in our organization is that the digital twin. So digital twin, you have a completely physical outlet, maybe somewhere in some part of the world, and you're controlling the entire, right from production, planning, quality check, supply chain management, but just sitting in a small room and you have the virtual of everything. It's more of AR, VR kind of things and all. So you're basically implementing the smart manufacturing, and the power of the smart manufacturing is well educated, being properly put the change management piece there. So it's more of, the mindset change where each and every plant managers has been gone into this particular life cycle. What is smart manufacturing? Because if you see today, the entire plant is being basically, it's based on the IoT, based on the drone and all, and we are doing all the monitoring part, say from the dashboard. And dashboard is basically, it's a real time. Anything which is happening, say 2,000 kilometers far away, that can be seen immediately and you can take the action on that. So criticality is very important because we cannot change. We are all into a comfort zone. Until you're not creating a urge for the change, you're not going to succeed. So urge is very important. And second part is again, the mindset part. For mindset, we have already taken in a kind of exercise where we educated by conducting lot of, the parking lot meeting, focus group discussions, town halls and all, where we talk of end-to-end. Now look, if you are going to implement this particular technology, which is AI-based, drone-based, data-based kind of, the decision-making, this is what are the skills, the critical skills which is required. And of course, one of the important parts, which has played a very important thing is the design thinking, because that's give us, kind of a very, you can think of, out of the boundaries kind of things and all. The second part, which is, the high tech is already there. Now the high touch. And when I say high touch, it is nothing. It's a people and the people sentiments. Upskilling, you can do it. Reskilling, you can do it. Unskilling, you can do it. But you cannot change the, the mindset. So the change management, it plays a very important part, not only for the leadership team, it is also for the managers, those who are going to be, the sandwich in between the people, those who are working on the shop floor, and the managers, those who are sitting into the NH headquarter kind of, the scenarios where they are much matured. So for the technology adoption is concerned, so for the technology maturity is concerned.
Good. Thank you. Does anyone want to add something on this? Oops. Himanshu?
So rightly said, actually, because I'm also from manufacturing background, right? So energy and manufacturing, right? You can combine both. So from manufacturing background, it happens, right? Because the people who are working on the shop floor, right? They are not much technology savvy, right? They know what they need to do, right? They know how to operate the machine, but they are not much bothered about how the changes are happening, right? So, when we are going to implement AI, let's say, right? Now they are concerned that this AI is going to take their job. So you are asking them to implement something which is detrimental to their jobs, right? So how you are going to manage that? That's a big challenge here, right? Now you can say the reaction could be subtle, right? It could be they will outrightly reject it, but they will try to bypass it, right? They will give some sort of negative feedback. So that's a real change management, because, from CEO point of view, it's okay, right? You can say that productivity will be increased by X percentage, right? Your rejects will be reduced by X percentage, right? This will affect that much to the top line from the bottom line, but real change happen at the shop floor. So that's the biggest change management from AI point of view you need to do. And we need to strategize from that point of view. And I'm saying strategy. I'm using the word strategy. I'm not using the word management. There are two reasons. One, CEO loves the word strategy, right? If you say that I'm strategizing this, right, they will love it. They won't love management, but right. And the second, in reality, it's the strategy, right? It doesn't end in, let's say, 1 week after the product has been delivered or deployed, right? It goes, let's say, around 1 year or 2 years after the product has been commissioned. So it's a long-term strategy, right? It's a cultural change that you need to do. That's why it is important.
Yeah. That remind me one case. We were implementing some digital solution on the plant, and there were miscommunication. The reason why we are doing this, and managers and employees didn't want to be part of that, so they hired hackers. So they hacked the system, and that was a big failure. We spent so many time and money, budget to implement the system that was hacked. And the employees would say, look, your system is not working. We don't need digital transformation. We need to work like our parents did. So you don't need to implement anything.
Just to add this point, right? So the solution is to co-create the job, right? So at one point of time, you are saying that this job will be gone. But at the same point, you are creating another job at the same shop floor, and then you are upskilling the existing employee, right? So they are also, well aligned with the change transformation you are propagating. So that could be the one solution. And we are trying to do it on our own, manufacturing plant at Mundra.
Yeah.
Just to add a couple of points, I agree with what both of my fellow panelists said. So in a manufacturing plant scenario where we have the technicians and the manufacturers on the floor, so let's say there's a lean management system going on, right? What I have seen personally is we need to have or develop empathetic listening. I think if we allow the shop floor technicians to just open up and then say what are all the issues they're facing. I mean, we call it as add-ons in Toyota production system or whatnot, right? And then allow them to come up with ideas, and they are also developing themselves, right? I mean, 10, 20 years ago, they'll say, okay, I'll replace this part with a different part, and then they'll say, I'll do automation. And now they're also becoming data savvy. So AI need not necessarily be top-down. Yes, it can be top-down, but also bottoms-up. And then once we get the idea, I think Maniac will focus on what is the problem on the floor. And if we understand that, then there are many ways to solve the problem. We can solve through AI, we can solve through simple intelligence, or without intelligence also the problem can be solved. I think if we can develop an ecosystem and an ambience whereby people can open up on the shop floor what the problems are, then the solutions can be many, and AI is a means to solve a problem. That's what I have seen. Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. And this reminds me of a time when I was new to a company and we were implementing manufacturing automation. So it was SAP WM, robotics, and all of that. And the month where the system went live, the closing could not be done that month. So it was 1 day after closing, 2 days after closing, and my boss called me and he said, what should we do? And I said, well, we should go and physically go to the factory. And it was during COVID, and physically going to the factory would also invite an element of physical risk. And my boss said, yeah, just go. I said, but I'm new, as in this project was designed, developed, and most of it was done when I was not there. And he said, oh, just go, just stand there. And I went and I just stood there and I took my team, and I believe that solved at least 80% of the problems. That, okay, someone is here for us, with us, and is going to help us, do the month-end reconciliation and closing of all our RM, PM, finished goods, etc. And that belief that, okay, when somebody is physically with us and they will help us through this change, I think that goes a really long way. Just adding to what you say.
Good. Thank you. So I really like the phrase saying that if you can't measure it, you can't achieve it. And if our project goals are fake and fluffy, so things become risky and shaky. And that's where the change management steps in. We are people who are asking like tough, challenging questions. Why are we doing this? What is the purpose? What kind of problems we want to solve? And most of the time, project team don't like us, don't like these questions. And they're saying that, hey, Farkhad, you are not helping us. You are like blocking our project. Let's forget about it. Let's start implementing. And these questions we will answer at the end. But this is not the best way to do. So, Chandan, from your experience, you implementing AI projects, digital projects, internally and externally, how do you move from high-level AI vision or strategy into real, tangible projects, into tangible goals, and transform it into projects of change?
I mean, every single project, I'm not just talking about AI, right? Every single project has a start and an end, and there's always a goal associated with it. And usually we call it SMART goals, where you can measure it, you can time it, can have relevance to it. I think that's the fundamental underlying principle for AI projects also, whether it's customer focused or it's inward. You have to look from your customer viewpoint, internal or external, what is that they are looking forward to. Let's say we start a vision from a board perspective. Boards are usually more aspirational in nature. They are more tied to revenue. They are more tied to customer experience, to enhancing it. It all boils down to that. When you come down slightly lower in the organization, how do you translate those visions into what is more concrete deliverables? That is where I think the SMART goals come into play. What is that you are trying to target? For example, in a manufacturing process, are you trying to make operational efficiencies, or is it a customer-related project where you're trying to get more revenue because your offering is better than a competitor's offering? So whether you talk about AI, I think that's the same principle applies. You have to fundamentally understand what is that you're offering, and how would you translate that offering into very specific KPIs. And these KPIs can differ from project to project. So it's not mandatory for you to have sticking to one specific KPIs. It could be operational efficiencies. It could be improvement of EBITDA. It could be improving the customer's assets, asset performance management. How do you have
a reduced downtime. So any initiative that is happening, if it is giving benefits to customers or both internal and external, that's how you typically measure. So for example, when I talked about asset performance management, in energy industries, if an asset is down in an unplanned outage, it's a big revenue loss to a customer. And if it's your asset. So how do you give predictive solutions in such a way that you know well in advance when is the likelihood of an asset failing or causing a disruption? Taking that information, putting into a plant outage, which is well ahead of the failure time, you can actually reduce that liability from a customer. So all these projects that we do typically have to have very specific KPIs that can be measured, that can be time-bound, that will have a measurable impact. A lot of times in AI projects, we talk about productivity as the number one goal. I think when you talk about internal customers, using copilots, using copilot in Teams, it gives you summarization. We say, hey, it's improving the productivity. Unless until that productivity cannot be translated into a general ledger cost center where you can actually show the improvements of it, I think all of that number is just a KPI on paper. Unless until we are able to translate that into a real change, that yes, if I did this project, it's going to bring productivity of, let's say, 100,000 hours in a year. If that 100,000 hours cannot translate into the same headcount doing more work or more revenue getting generated, then that number is not worth it. So I think in terms of measuring, KPIs is the most important aspect, but having those KPIs which can be translated into very concrete numbers, that's important, whether it's manufacturing projects or non-manufacturing projects.
Thanks, Chandan. If you want to go? Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So in our case, let's imagine it's still work in progress. So we were a pure industrial manufacturing company, manufacturing HVAC equipment, CCTV cameras, and fire detection equipment, so on and so forth. And then last 5-6 years, we were transforming into a software digital company, right? So one form of transformation is happening. And now with AI coming in, the expectation from the analysts and the shareholders, etc., hey, where is AI? Are you guys doing AI, right? So that's the kind of expectation happening. So what we did was at the board of directors level, we augmented our board with a AI entrepreneur who is an AI first thinker who can actually ask the right questions of what should be the right KPI, right? Because typically board, there are 4 decades of experience, 5 decades of experience or whatnot. But then we brought in this diversity and she is from APAC, right? So the global board constitutes a women leader who is a AI first thinker, AI entrepreneur, and who can challenge the status quo. So that's what we started at the top. And then coming at a CXO level, what we did was we anchored our AI initiatives through 7 AI ethics principles. So whatever ideas come in from bottoms up, from the shop floor or from the office employees or whatnot, so we review that as a governing council and we align to those 7 principles. To name a few, we always deliver solutions which has human in the loop. If somebody is going to present to us, there is no human in the loop, then straight away we reject. We put it in the parking lot. So it's not right or wrong, good or bad. It's just that we wanted to have the transparency, accountability, and fairness and inclusiveness. So at a CXO level, so we anchored our AI initiatives around that. And then once the board and the analysts, the shareholders, and the governing council are aligned, then we look at what the KPIs are, and then we fund the projects. But as soon as the funding comes in, it's a 1-minute conversation with the CFO, whether we are in or out, right? So the typical question is, what's your ROI? So we have several such 1-minute conversations to get the funding, right? And it's all about value delivery for the end customer. So customer first, and then the solution next kind of a mindset. And then really looking at what the problem we are solving and what's the data maturity we have and what kind of AI algorithms we can do. So these are some of the techniques which we are still using, work in progress. I'm not claiming we have reached the zenith yet, but that's a work in progress. That's how we are progressing.
Yeah, I wanted to add also one work in progress that we have at L'Oreal. So I think in the KPI journey, once the KPIs are defined, saying how many productivity, how many hours, where will these hours be redeployed, I think there is great merit in having a common change framework and methodology in the company. So at L'Oreal, globally, we are implementing ADKAR from Prosci as a change management methodology within the leadership teams and also percolating down. So in a manner that, the entire company can speak the same language when it comes to change. When you're tracking KPIs, you can determine whether you are at A, D, K, A or R, and accordingly, you know what kind of things you need to drive, what is the maturity level. I think it is a great aid to the KPI tracking.
Yeah, good. Thank you. And in my practice, we call this tangible results. So in our projects, we always try to identify tangible results for each group, some things that you can come, measure, or even touch. So because changes, especially AI, it's about mindset, behavior, and it's pretty hard to measure. Is it happening in reality? Or it's just on our beautiful slides and that's it. So, and one of the most challenging thing for change management is to transfer KPIs into tangible things that we can come second week after go live, team A do something new and we can come, touch it, feel it, and measure it. Yeah, and now let's move to the most hot topic, resistance. And Himanshu, we had a really great conversation before conference, and I really liked your sentence saying that even if building an AI solution can take months, but full adoption can take years. And we were talking about resistance. And one of CDTO with whom I work, Chief Digital Transformation Officer, he said that middle managers are like permafrost zone. Most of the changes and projects dies on this level. And it's back up with Prosci research that middle managers are the most resistant group, but they are not our enemies. They're just stuck in the middle. Yeah, we were talking about it. So Himanshu, based on your experience, observations, what are the most practical, impactful tactics, how to deal with resistance on middle levels and on the employees level as well?
Thank you. It's a great question. Right. So I will tell you a real life case, right? Means it was around 2 years back and I was working with manufacturing company. So we are into manufacturing solar panels, right? And it's a complete ecosystem, right? So we get the polysilicon, then the polysilicon is converted into wafers. Wafers are converted into cells. Cells are converted into panels. So it's complete assembly line of around 4 gigawatts, right? And now we are planning to expand it to 10 gigawatts. That's a separate question, right? Now, from digital transformation point of view, right? So whenever you are trying to implement any digital transformation, right, change management is absolutely necessary, right? So what we did, we are trying to identify in our cell line, right? So wafers are getting inside and cells are coming out, right? Now we are producing 1 million cell per day, right? So and there are different categories of cell, right, which are coming out from the production line, right? It could be A grade, A minus grade, and some rejects are there, right? So the idea was by implementing AI-based digital twin, right, whether we can reduce our rejects, right? So let's say we want to reduce our reject by 10%, right? So that was the idea, right? So we created the digital twin of complete cell line, right? So there are around 10 processes in cell line, right? And it takes around 8 to 10 hours, right? Once the wafer gets inside and comes out of the cell line, the total journey is around 10 hours, right? Now we created each and every, we took each and every, equipment and, we identified what are the key parameters there, right? We need to watch, right? What is the expected behavior of that particular parameter, whether these parameters are deviating from the expected behavior, right? And then, we were very, keen, and then we are very enthusiastic that we want to implement this AI solution. We just went ahead and implemented it. The problem is that because you are identifying the issue at the end of the assembly line, right? It has happened 8 hours back, right? So you are looking into the past, and then you are trying to correct the problem till the damage has already been done, right? So what you are going to do, right? And it was a part of real change management, right? How we involve the middle managers. Now, the idea was that from the top management, it was clear. It was a clear direction that we need to reduce the percentage of rejects, right? Now, what we did with the middle manager, right? We identified a person who is well respected in this field, right? He was head of quality, right? So he was respected. People know him, right? And then he knew the subject matter, right? So what we did, we created a close focus group, and it was headed by the head of quality, right? So now he was owning the project, right? And then we went to the shop floor. We identified what needs to be done, right? So the issue was availability of the data from the machine itself, right? So the first part was, because it was a long project, right? It took around 2 years to complete. So we first implemented manufacturing execution system, right? So that MES system gives the real-time output from the machine assembly line, right? And then we moved all the data to cloud, and now we were getting real-time data from all the machine in real time. Now we implemented our digital twin, expected behavior versus actual behavior in real time, coming from each and every point in assembly line, right? And then we were able to identify when the problem was happening. So that's why I was saying right data at right time is required, right? And that was a part of change management process that we learned, right, in between. And after implementing, of course, that part was a success. And we are able to reduce the, reject by around 5%, right? The target was 10%, but we are still figuring it out how to move the needle and move up to 10% or even 15%. That's a separate talk. But, involving right people, right time at the initial stage of the project development or product development or whatever business transformation you're trying to do is the key to success from my point of view, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, is the best way to learn change management is on your own mistakes, right?
So I just want to add, few points. So, in fact, I was doing one of the assignment which is for the world largest automobile industry, and the job was very simple. You have to implement one of the tool which are basically AI based. It's something like sales.com. And you have to, implement that particular tool, which is going to, help us in terms of, the name of the project was the guest first. So I think in some of the Middle East, they don't call it customer, they call it guest. And the major resistance which we have started, facing, it's not the top management, it is not the shop floor employees. It is basically from the middle management. And the reason was very simple, that the middle management, which is basically the middle management, or you can say the managers, they're the sandwich, because from the top they're just getting the the command and the decisions, and from the bottom there is a multiple questions which are then able to answer it, because they don't have the visibility on what the project is, how the project is going on, what kind of the outcome we are going to get it, and how we are going to get the upskilling and reskilling part, because any skills which we do have right now, it's going to be redundant. So these are the 5-6 questions which we tried to answer it as a subject matter expert on the change management side. The first and foremost thing, we conducted a workshop. So workshop was basically calling all the middle management people, with basically articulated the KPI before you go for the implementations, and also what we wanted to achieve it as a part of the overall KPI productivity. So both the scenarios has been given, and then we started giving the journey of now how the project cycle is going to work, I will say, in terms of, not only understanding what, the requirement you have, how we are building the entire requirement for you, how the AI is going to, AI, real-time data is going to play the important role. And then what comes the benefit you are going as a VFIM. VFIM is nothing, it's basically what's in it for me. So if you have given a complete, the picture, because in most of the, the failure of any of the change management is two-part. One, I am not aware of, what is happening. And I think is already rightly indicated that you try to involve your all critical and impacted as a stakeholder right in the beginning of the cycle. So if you are, whether you are going on agile methodologies of, the project implementation, or you are going for the waterfall, doesn't make any difference. But the moment you're involving, the middle management and the end users, those who are going to use this particular AI tool, I think, again, I can say 70% of the work is already done because they are already got engaged, participated, and also knows that, what benefit that is going to help you in terms of, creating a kind of, the curiosity that, okay, fine, my organization has decided that we are going for this AI transformation. That's fine. So how the AI transformation is happening, what kind of, the upskilling and reskilling is required, how my organization is going to take care of, whatever the training is required for us, and what kind of the support we are going to get it. Because in any of the change management cycle, there will be a lot of dip in the productivity when you are going into the transition. So you have to also see that how you are going to impact the morale and motivation of your critical stakeholders. When there is a dip of, even in this particular project, there is a huge dip in terms of the productivity because earlier they were doing everything on the Excel part. Now they are using the tool which is AI-based real-time data, which is basically algorithm-based. So they can give you all kind of a predictive, and also you get the decisions what you want on the real-time basis. But this particular piece, it was requiring a lot of the visibility with the middle management because they were basically, the actual implementer on the grassroots level. That is, I am talking about the shop floor level and all. So, and then once the project, completed, when we got into this steady state, now the major problem we started, facing is that people have, they have gone for the training. They have also started using the system. They also realize that it is going to be, initially a productivity dip on that. But how we are, because one thing is very important, I learn new things, but how long I'm sustaining that? So within the change management part also, the sustenance is one of the important part because people has a psychology of going back to, the old way of working because that's a comfort zone fan. So if you have something, the mechanism where you can recognize, you can sustain that momentum which you have created with the go live of your AI project. So you can go for, some kind of, the reward and recognitions where you're organizing change catalysts, the key users, the power users, and also the team, those who are basically playing a critical role. So those kind of things are very important if you really wanted to sustain for the long time because most of the time we have seen it, you learn the new things, but you forget it because that's not your comfort zone. So you again go back to that. So you have to also play not only, the will part, the skill part, but also play with the psychology, which is also important for ensuring the success and making, change management as a critical part of your entire project life cycle.
Good. Thank you. And Sreemoyee, I wanted to discuss very illustrative examples that you shared with me before. It's L'Oreal GPT, right? And the question is that what steps do you take to ensure that employees not just try it once, but embed it in their daily work so it becomes their standard tool in their business as usual process?
Right. And if I can just share with the audience. So at L'Oreal, we have something called L'Oreal GPT, which is a subscription. You can imagine like a corporate subscription to ChatGPT. So we have a separate tenant of ChatGPT and various models to ensure, data privacy and so that, our examples are not used for training ChatGPT models. And this is available to every single employee within the organization. And I think this is very powerful because though it is a small thing, it ensures that there is a culture of adopting new trends, a new way of doing things, and that is available to each and every employee at every level. How we track effectiveness of tools like ChatGPT, which is available to everyone, is first, of course, the initial KPI is to track the number of accesses. So how many people are accessing, how many times are they returning back, that kind of KPIs we have. We also use the ADKAR methodology to work with our learning and digital teams to understand the maturity of different kind of employee personas on tech like AI. So we try to understand, for example, a scientist who is working in the labs, do they have awareness? Do they have desire? Do they have knowledge? Or maybe, my R&D population in India, maybe they have desire, but maybe my R&D population in Brazil, they already have knowledge and they're working on more evolved use cases. So we encourage employees to share how they are using L'Oreal GPT, and I think especially in the emerging markets where I work, I think young people are naturally very inclined to try new things, and we see them coming up with very clever uses of, analyzing research data, analyzing patent data, and trying to come up with new areas of innovation using L'Oreal GPT.
Good. Thank you. And in my practice, I always say that the most important skill of business transformation experts is to customize, to identify the most added value thing. And when we were implementing change management office in one of the holding, first we tried to make all employees, you follow the standard process. And then we understand that, we need to identify the most bold, the most practical tools and things, steps. So Sivakumar, you are at the forefront of driving AI adoption across Johnson Control. So can you share, based on your experience, the most practical, the most impactful change management activities? And for example, if you don't have a lot of time, don't have resources and budgets, so do at least these steps, the main steps.
Yeah, thanks. I'll take an example of an external customer where we have our OpenBlue, which is a SaaS platform for smart buildings, and we deployed to the end customer side. So what Sreemoyee said, so we focused on what the problem we are trying to solve and for which persona. So when we said, hey, we can solve this problem through Gen AI, but that persona, they're spread across India, they speak multiple languages or whatnot. So their real need is they don't want to do prompt at all, right? So without the prompt engineering, what can we do Gen AI about it, right? So that made us think. So then what we did was, and if you're going to force the solution on them, the adoption is going to be naturally, is going to be very minimal, right? So even whatever change management practices we do, when at the ground root level, the users are not going to, so there was a resistance. But we heard the real problem, right? So they wanted to avoid entering in any language, English or any local regional language, to do the prompt. But for them, the problem had to be solved, right? And we were transitioning from a connected building to a smart building or whatnot. And this made us really move from smart to autonomous, right? So we were very specific on the use cases. And then without generative AI, without prompt engineering, through the data patterns and through thresholds and some of the fault detection and diagnostic logics used, we were able to take baby steps from smart to autonomous buildings. So this is one of the experience which earlier I thought about it. Right? What problem we are solving and for whom? And for that, customer should be willing to pay us. Right? We're not doing this for charity because my CFO is going to say, hey, what's the difference? We can also earn the same revenue without AI also, right? But the thing is, how do we really look into moving from linear thinking to non-linear thinking? Because a company used to sell hardware products priced by volume. Now we are measured on annual recurring revenue on subscription basis. So that's the kind of change in mindset which we have to work with all the stakeholders. But most importantly, customer-centric, focusing on what problem we are solving for whom. As long as we listen to them and we solve the problem, the customer will be willing to pay. And that customer is in Bangalore, a large commercial real estate company, and right now it's work in progress.
Good. Thank you. So I have questions from audience. They're really great. So before moving to them, just again, 2 short questions, short answers, please questions. So let's start with you, Chandan. Looking ahead, what's the next big challenge or trend for change management do you see in manufacturing?
trend in manufacturing?
Yeah, in change management, working with people side of change.
I would also think, I think the big challenge is going to be how do we move from the legacy systems to more autonomous systems?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Manoj?
So for me, it is, the platform way of working where, everything is becoming a digital, and digital is basically enabled by AI, machine learning and deep learning. And you have to not only take care of the business operating model of B2B, but you also take care of the B2C part. So that's the great, the challenge which we are facing currently, that organizations now it's going completely into the flex. And when I'm saying flex, it is more AI-driven kind of things has already started. So if I simply, for 30 seconds, if I ask the entire audience, how many of you know you're exactly using the AI tool? So forget about Gemini, forget about Copilot, forget about the Gamma.com and all. So in actual way, if you start counting, of course, on the grassroots level, I know everybody has started using ChatGPT or say Gemini and all, and that too with a very limited kind of the access and all. But that's not going to be the skill which is going to remain as it is. If I take the example of one of my business where we have started using the agentic AI, and agentic AI is nothing. It's basically, for me, it's a digital worker. And when I'm saying digital worker, what they're exactly doing, I do have a laundry list of the things which I wanted to buy it, say from either say from the virtual shop, or I wanted to buy it from the physical. I will just upload all the the items which I wanted to buy it. The agentic AI will take my decisions, what I want, and they will search into whatever is available across with the best price, with the best the quality, and they will give me the solution. So without having any prompt engineering, because when I use the chat GPT or when I use the Copilot, I know every time I have to go for the prompt. Okay, so giving a prompt, then you will get some kind of outcome. Again, you will, do the customizations. Again, the prompt will go. So in agentic AI, which is going to be the future, I am telling you, because now it's already started happening. And that's going to be the big challenge for, as a change manager. So when the agentic AI is coming to the force, now how you are going to change the mindset being, the change manager or the change champion of the, the customers and also the employees, those who are working in the organizations, that is going to be the biggest challenge, in I can say 2030, 2035.
Good. Thank you. Himanshu?
Yes. So as a AI practitioner myself, right, I'm coming from the background of AI, right? So I know that AI comes with its own set of problems, right? So when you say AI implementation, right, in a manufacturing sector, or as a matter of fact, any sector, right, managing the AI, right, managing the change in the AI, right, it is also a big deal, right? Because right now I can tell you, it's not, one set fits all sort of thing, right? There is a data drift, there is a concept drift, right? So, if you implement an AI application to some set of machines, it is not guaranteed that it is going to work on different sets of machine, right? You need a new set of data, right? As a matter of fact, when you are doing prompt engineering or when you are building agentic AI, right, the underlying, foundation model, right? It depends how the underlying foundation model works, right? If you are having any changes in the foundation model, right? If you switch from, let's say, a chat GPT from Gemini, right? Then you need to re-engineer your prompts, right? You need to re-engineer your agents, right? So managing the AI, right? It's a big stuff, right? It's not an easy task to do, right? And the output depends very greatly how you customize a specific AI for a specific problem at hand. So managing that and change management for that is a big stuff that we need to deal with in the coming years.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to share two thoughts. Before we start anything, let us stop, right? Why we are doing that? We are stopping to start the first days of it, start the right way, and then think. T of stop. Think what problem we're trying to solve, for whom, and what manner, right? And then organize yourselves in terms of use cases, return on investment, which geography, what are all the other constraints we are having, and then progress, the P of stop, progress in bite-sized thinking, no big bang approach. You fail fast, learn, adapt, and as your data maturity improves, then your AI model improves, and then your solution accuracy improves. The second thought is, particularly for Bangaloreans, you may be aware, so beware of BBMP. I'm not talking about the municipal authority, but I'm talking about the bias in the models. Number two, the breach of security, and the misinformation or hallucination of the models, and the privacy. So it's sometimes taken for granted, but in this such a vulnerable world, whatever model, either for internal use case, for external use case, please always have these things in mind. That's all from me.
Thank you. Sreemoyee?
I think the biggest frontier in AI will be predictivity applied to the domains that we work in. So at L'Oreal, we are working on a global project with IBM to crack predictivity in cosmetics. So how can AI help us determine the next set of formulas for your lipstick, for your shampoos, for your skincare, for your hair care? I think these kind of examples where AI is applied to solve complex domain-specific problems, I think this will definitely be the future.
Good, thank you. And so we have a lot of great questions from the audience. Let's try to answer on them really short, just a few sentences, maybe key ideas. So first question is, what are the best practices for democratizing access to AI on the shop floor?
Just repeat it.
What are the best practices for giving access to AI on the shop floor? So improving literacy, trust for AI on the shop floor.
So I think the soft floor, basically, if you see, the way we are generating the data and all. So the first and foremost thing that you should have maybe, you can use some of the tool which can help us in terms of generating the data on the real-time basis. And I will give you the examples also. In the telecom industry, we run with the towers. Okay. We have not shifted, say, from towers to getting into the satellite and all. But yes, going forward, that is one of the things which is going to happen. So tower is basically run on the energy. And we know that, when the tower is running, there is a lot of, the communication happens. And through communications, a lot of data is also generating. So in towers, basically, we use three kinds of energy. The first energy is basically the solar part, where it's very cost effective and it's a natural, energy for us. So once the solar is, diminishing, it is not there. I mean, in the same time, we shift automatically based on the AI and all. It shifts automatically into the AV. That is the battery part I am talking of. And the third part, which is very expensive, is the diesel. Okay. Because these are all three forms of the energy and which help us in terms of, working, the tower on 24/7. And why this is required? Because we generate humongous data. And I can say very proudly that, my company is talking of the digital society, digital India, and also talking of, the Asia's largest data center. Because going forward, data is the new oil for us. And if you have a data, then, you can take a lot of decisions on real-time basis, whether it is related with your personal choices or personal requirement or with the organizations or with the team and all. So that is going, one of the things which is going to be very challenging. And for this, as I said, I've given the example of the field, which is for us in telecom industry is a plant.
Yeah, please.
Maybe I can give this. So I think in manufacturing sector, the way I feel is autonomous AI, edge devices, IoT is the future. We already see dark factories in China, other countries coming up. It's making decisions on its own, robotics. I think that's the future. So the more autonomous systems you have on the factory floor, the less human intervention is required. And we all know human intervention means time processing, right? So in my opinion, I think autonomous AI, agentic AI, right at the floor where it can make the decision by itself.
Good.
Yes, I will talk about the opposite side of the spectrum, right? So we are talking about automation and all that. I will just talk about one hack, right, that you can use at the shop floor to improve the adoption of AI, right? Because in shop floor, hands are always busy, right? Either a guy is working on production line, either he is, doing maintenance on some of the equipment. So you need some sort of visual medium, right? So that he can just see and, take the decision. So the adoption of AI works, right, if you provide, a better looking application in which there is a clear cut markation, right, whether it's a red, green, orange, and clear cut, some sort of decisions, right, you need to take. So it should be very visible. It should be visible from all the areas of the shop floor, and people should able to understand in their language. So these are the 2-3 hacks that means I would follow to get it more adopted at the shop floor. Automation is the second part, right? It will come in near future, and then maybe we won't be needing any workers at the shop floor, and robots will be doing all the work. But presently in India, right, you have to go step by step.
Good, thank you. And let's start from that side now. Sreemoyee, what recommendations do you have to deploy AI? What is the starting point to start implementing AI?
I think the starting point should be both top down and bottom up. So there should be something. By bottom up, I mean that you should have at least one initiative where AI can be experienced by the entire organization. Something small, but it should be available to everyone, like a L'Oreal GPT or a Chat GPT, whatever you may have. So something like that, which everyone can use. And I think there should also be some specific AI interventions, like there could be an AI companion to help a scientist to formulate faster. There could be an AI companion for the product testing team to be able to test the efficacy of the products. So there should be specific ones targeted at specific personas, but there should also be like a common thing which everyone can use. I think that helps.
Yeah, Sivakumar. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think AI is already consumerized. We are not going to stop or prevent anything happening. It's better we lead and allow the people to access right information in the right way and then experiment it. If not, we'll be lagging behind, right? Both from an employee to the manager perspective and also the market differentiating perspective. Second thing is, conduct some, we call it as a hackathon, but in shop floor, you can conduct some Kaizen workshops to really say, hey, what are all the different ways to solve the problem and establish the outcomes expected, right? So you want to shrink the cycle time, you want to improve the quality or whatnot, and we will get brilliant ideas using AI, right? So those are the couple of things which we can do. Right time is to start now. Otherwise, we'll be left behind.
Yeah, good. Thank you. And the last question, it's more like philosophical, I would say. Why is managing change so challenging as compared to services when possibly everything is hierarchical and process-driven? Who wants to answer to these questions?
Okay. So if you see, when you work with the machine or when you work with the defined process, it's easy for you to work on. But when you are handling with the people part, because every person has a persona and that persona is unique in itself. So you cannot, use the similar kind of, puppy and jappy, what you're using for the others. I'm sorry, I'm just using the word, Hindi word and all, because, same strokes for, all the folks will not going to work. You have to work on a very tailored way. And that's why, the change management is becoming very challenging, because when you deal with the human being, when you deal with the, the people, when you deal with the employees, every employee is unique. Every human being is unique. So you need to get into, first the psychology of that particular individuals, which I call it the psychological connect. Psychological connect, it works awesome. When I'm saying awesome, it means when I was in Europe, I was doing, some of the assignment on, say, the transformation itself. So in Europe and in US, they will talk of only two things. How is the weather? How is the day and all? What you did in the weekend and all. So that's how they greet and meet with the people starting. That's the point, where you are getting psychologically connect with the individuals. And then you can get into, what is the business as usual or whatever, you wanted to talk and all. The second part, which is also very important, that you need to, understand the culture, because that's a very important part. And I was just, during lunch, I was discussing, when you go to the Europe for taking any kind of a decisions, related to, your business and business criticality, they take the decisions on consensus base. So they will start, infusing that kind of a discussions right on the shop floor first. And then gradually, from soft floor, it will go to the managers, supervisors, managers, and then to the, the leadership, and then they will take the decision. So the consensus based, I'm not saying what is good and bad on that, but the important part is that before you go for the implementation of any solution and doing the change management, you have already done it because the people knows that what you want to do and what kind of the benefit I'm going to get it as an individual or an organization. The second part, which I have experienced it when I was working with, some of the, again, Fortune, 100 companies and all. So there, they take the decisions immediately. The leadership will take the decision, and then they will, they will discover the solution. So one fine morning, the CEO of the company is saying, I wanted to be a AI-driven organization. So AI-driven is, maybe I think most of them will not understand. AI-driven is, it's all, all the touch points, whether it's related with the manufacturing or related with the employee's life cycle. You have some kind of AI. Okay, so in US, they will take the decision and now they will discover, how to navigate and complete to the solutions with the implementation part and all. So the only thing which I'm saying, as a learning of, whatever the stint I do have into this transformation is that people is the center. And you have to understand not only the people, but the uniqueness of the people. And that's how you can manage the entire change. And the second part, just last point, if you can develop a mindset of, when the age of the problem is 0, just act it. That is the, sum in the sense that if I know this problem is going to happen, okay, I will just act in a proactive way. So change management is all like that only. If some risk you're anticipating, which may be related with the people, you need to act immediately before it becomes a big problem or a complex problem for you. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. So I see that time is up, and I really enjoyed our conversation. Great ideas, cases, recommendation, and life hack. I want to say thank you for everyone for sharing your thoughts, your experience, and thank you for audience. You are still alive and still with us even after the lunch break. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you to our leaders for being here today and for helping us unpack such a critical topic with honesty, clarity, and vision.
And now I request Farkhad, I need your help to give a small token of appreciation to our team panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you once again, Mr. Chandan, Vijay. Thank you for being with us. Thank you to Manoj and Prasad, sharing your insights. It was a lovely evening. Thank you to Himanshu Pant for being with us and sharing your insights as well. Thank you to Sivakumar, Selva, Ganapathy for being with us and sharing your insights. And thank you, Sreemoyee, Ghosh, for being with us again and making this conversation much more bright. Can we have a group picture for Farkhad with big smiles? Thank you again. And as the panelists take their seats,